this Barstool Big Cat bullshit in Chicago. Did you guys see this story? I am so upset about this because I don't like Dave Portnoy in a lot of ways pisses me off. I don't ingest a lot of Dave Portnoy's content. I really liked Big Cat. I really liked Barstool Chicago. And now it comes out that Big Cat is not from Chicago. Oh, it's not even the sad music. You stole from us. You stole from us. And listen, I understand branding and business. I'm going to tell you right now, as a born and raised Chicagoan, as a proud Chicagoan, as a passionate Chicago sports fan, as a long-suffering Chicago sports fan, it is complete bullshit that Big Cat lied and said he was from Chicago, and he is not. And not only is this guy not from Chicago, he's from fucking Boston. So he has no business on any level writing about Chicago. And I would have been okay if you'd have never brought it up, if you hadn't lied and said you were from Chicago, if you hadn't, it hadn't, pulled the wool over people's eyes and made us think you were from Chicago. I don't really care where you're from.
Yeah.
Until you tell me you're from Chicago and it turns out you're not.
Yeah.
And he goes on ESPN 1000 in Chicago yesterday and tries to do this mea culpa.
How did this come out? What happened here? That
he got outed essentially because what happened was Barstool Chicago really launched Barstool. It was, and for those of you who don't know, and you probably don't care about this, but Barstool Chicago launched Barstool.
Right.
And I have, like I said, I really like Big Cat's stuff. I follow him. I used to read his stuff routinely. Now I more watch him because he's everywhere. They do a great job with video at Barstool, and I actually really like a lot of the Barstool content. I don't like the misogyny. I don't like a lot of what Dave Portnoy's about, but I like some of Dave's podcast stuff, his video stuff. I like his pizza reviews, even though Chicago Pizza Cut in Squares is far better than anything that New York puts out.
Facts.
Different show.
Facts.
But my point is, Big Cat was Chicago sports because he was from Chicago. He was one of us.
Yeah.
And now it turns out you're full of shit and you're not from Chicago. And not only are you not from Chicago, you're from Boston, which makes it even worse. And it came out because he got outed on ESPN Chicago. That's how it came out. And it's really, really disappointing. Really, really. And if you're not, listen, I don't know. You probably think, you're parochial, or you don't understand it if you're not from Chicago. When you say you're from Chicago, you better be, because it's part of your brand. It's part of who you are.
Yeah.
You don't understand. And I would imagine most of you get this. If you are who are some of our best listeners? Mike Smith. If you're from West Virginia, if you're Oak State James, and I don't know where you're from because you like every school, but if you're from Utah, if you're from Las Vegas, Las Vegas might even be the best one. If you're from Las Vegas, if you're from Los Angeles, it's different because you understand the struggle that is Chicago sports. You understand the suffrage.
Yeah.
You understand the lifestyle of being a Chicago sports fan, but also being a Chicagoan. You understand the bone-chilling cold that you dealt with as a kid so you could play football in the front yard in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yeah, you do.
You understand why you cried tears of pain in 1984 when Leon Durham had Gatorade all over his glove. And it hurt my core. You understand as a young kid, as a 9-year-old in Northbrook, Illinois, when Kevin Butler made a field goal. And I went out into the backyard because I wanted to be a Chicago Bear.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid growing up in Chicago, I grew up in the prime Hawks run, 3 Stanley Cups in what was that? 7 years, I think it was 8 years. Like Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, like, Corey Crawford in net, like, like that was it. That was everything.
I can tell
Like-
you, like that brought back a memory for me. I think it was 1980, whatever it was. And I'm pretty sure it was Kevin Butler kicked a field goal. And I want to say it was against the Lions because I hated the Lions. And I went out into my backyard and I was Kevin Butler. Dude, I will never forget the pain and the sound when I kicked that football and my feet came out from underneath me and I slammed myself on my back and the soul came out of my body and I thought I was going to die. But I would have died for the Chicago Bears. So it would have been okay.
What is this John comment right here? Second from the bottom. What is it? What is this one? Right there.
Oh, hey. Well, hello, John Momola.
Hey, John.
This is a guy who I think would
Hey,
understand
John.
Rock Momola, my guy, right? A Chicago guy, a radio guy. Rock, I think you would understand this conversation. He says there's a difference between being born and living in. Dan needs to be excused from his nickname moving forward. He will be forever known as Dan Katz. Big Cat is no more. Shame on him.
Yeah,
Exactly
I just think,
right.
I think that, one of the things that makes this worse is that, with all due respect to markets like Vegas or, the what I would call secondary market, like cities like LA, Chicago, New York, Boston, like the OG sports towns in this country, I think that makes it worse because you didn't grow up the way he grew up or the way I grew up or the way any Chicagoan grew up in the suburbs. You didn't grow up appreciating the McDonald's outside of Wrigley.
My
right?
life, Yum Yum Donuts outside of Wrigley Field.
Yeah, yum yum.
And
yeah.
if you're a White Sox fan or if you're
Like you don't know Superdog, bro. You don't know those
but
spots.
more than that, you don't know. It just, you're not from Chicago. Don't tell me you're from Chicago. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. Big Cat is dead.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to fire the guy or I totally Rock. I totally agree with you. Dan Katz put ketchup on his hot dog. And so do I. That doesn't mean I'm not from Chicago.
Yeah.
Rock doesn't even know this. That is a huge fight on this show. When you get a hot dog sandwich, because a hot dog is a sandwich, it's okay to put ketchup on it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't go to Superdog and put ketchup on it because I'm telling you, they will kill you.
Yeah.
But if some ketchup kind of dribbles on from the crinkle cut French fries, it happens. As a Chicago Cubs season ticket holder, this summer I will be putting ketchup on my hot dogs at Wrigley Field.